Hey, in this video, we're going to talk more in depth about releasing the club head, or how to release the club head. Releasing the club head is a huge deal for those seeking more distance, but not only that, it's also important for squaring up the club face so you can also keep it in the fairway if you do it the right way. So right after this, if you're looking for longer and straighter, then this is going to be a good video to watch, because we're going to talk all about releasing the club head. So stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I'm on a journey to hit it longer and straighter, not only off the tee, but all the way through to the green, because that's more fairways, more greens, less lost golf balls, less penalty strokes, and that's just makes golf a heck of a lot more fun. So if you agree, hit the subscribe button, join us. Like this video at the end if you get some benefit out of it, and please leave a comment down below. I read them all. All right, so I think we need to divide the idea of releasing the club head into kind of two parts. We have kind of what's called more of a passive part, and we have what's called more like an active part. In other words, the contribution of our wrists and the straightening of our right elbow and any rotation of the forearms can often be considered as more of the active part. It's kind of because it's kind of what you're feeling as you're going through impact, or the kind of that creation of the snap or the whip or the swoosh, however you want to characterize it. You're feeling kind of the active effects. But we also have some passive effects, as we will get into right now. Right now, there's a lot of passive sources of torque or force acting on the handle to accelerate the club head around the handle, make it speed up and square up. Now, technically, these are active too, but it's not something that you really are consciously feeling like you do with the snapping of the wrists. But really what it comes down to is the passive forces that are acting on the handle of the club as your hands push force and torque into the club's grip, is the motion of the body and of the arms. So they can, together, they're going to create what we'd call a hand path or a handle path. And the handle path or the hand path, either way, interchangeable, has a very high influence on the club head's journey. So if the handle path is off, we're not going to produce as much torque to accelerate the club to a high speed, nor are we going to get it to be reliably square every time. Now, in a perfect world, we'd get the handle, let's say we're in a pretty good position at the top, about here. We'd like to get that handle arcing something like this. So here, here, and then here in the impact zone. If you can get here, you're really in good shape. But from here, the handle is going to be arcing up and left and a little bit back into us again. And see, that is almost, that torque alone, you can see, I'm not even pushing on the shaft, but that torque alone, as I kind of pull the handle up and left and back into again, kind of revs up the club head, gives it that extra little kick, and it serves to very nicely, almost passively, square up the club face. So again, it's here in good shape, and whether you're here or whether you're here, it's not as important as the start down goes about this way, and that'll get the shaft to kind of drop and shallow. Now from here, we're looking for that handle. Make sure that it continues to arc around the body as the body turns this way. You'll be able to swing from the inside and yet not fear hooking the ball, because you won't have to put any extra rolling of the club face into it, nor will you fear slicing the ball, because you've got enough passive torque to almost square the club up without adding any active torque to spin the club this way to get it to square. If I'm coming from right way open like this, I can always, at the last instant, I can spin that shaft and flip it and I can get the ball to keep from slicing. But in this case, the club is coming in so nicely square this way at this point that you just simply don't feel like you have to add anything to it to get it to go straight. It's a really great feeling. So getting that passive torque in order is really great. It's really what separates good swings from just okay swings. Now, when it comes to actively torquing the club, again, we're talking about, let's define it as this action. We're talking about 180 degrees of rotation of the club head and shaft about the butt of the club or about the wrists. You could also call it the mid-hands point, would be very accurate. So you see I am using the muscles in my forearms and wrists and my tricep on the right-hand side, a few other muscles, to actively put torque into the grip to cause it to advance in a semicircle around the butt end of the club. So we could define that as the active torque we'd like to put in here. That's going to make the club go a heck of a lot faster, but also how we do it can also control the straightness of it as well. Now, I've talked before in a lot of other videos about how the active torque, or the outwards throwing torque, is actually starting back here. As I'm stepping down onto the front foot, I am giving the club a throw outward. We can divide the two parts, or the 180 degrees twirl here, kind of into two separate parts. The first part is pushing on the grip with the thumb and trying to throw the club out this way. Now see, of course, this looks really silly by itself, but if I added in some turn, you'd see that's going to bring me right into the impact zone. The only problem is here that you're seeing that my club face is a good 20 degrees open still. So while that might be enough to put some speed into it, it's not enough torque to cause the club face to reliably get square. You see in the graphs that they've taken, of the 3D graphs of torques and forces being applied to the shaft, that this force peaks maybe somewhere in here, and then just after that, the second 90 degrees, that torque, or this torque, this is a different force direction acting on the grip, that's going to take over and peak somewhere more in here. So it's boom, boom, but it starts ramping up back here. And we want to freely go from one half of the 90 degrees to the other 90 degrees, give us our 180 degrees semicircle, which would look like something like this. Now see, I'm trying to throw the head of the club around the handle without advancing the handle with my arms this way. Now again, that looks awfully funny until you add the rotation of the body to it, and then it comes out, watch this. So right there, that looks really funny until I get to here, have the body rotation, and all of a sudden it looks great. Let me do it from this angle now. Again, here's 180 degree active torque. Throw the head around the grip, 180 degrees. Looks really strange until I turn the body through, which is of course happening at the same time. So just because you're good at cranking the thumb against the grip and going into what we would call a ulnar deviation as the right elbow straightens is not enough to get the club face square. We've got to have then the second half of it, this other type of torque that causes the club to advance this way. And we want them both to be accelerating and very fluid in joining them together. Now, when combining a good handle path this way with a very unimpeded, explosive 180 degree throw about the wrists, we come up with some really, really, really great results where the ball is going to go not just long with lots of club head speed, but very straight as well. All right, let me crack a couple and I'll see if I can do both. I still am a little bit weak on my handle path. I'm very good with the active part. My journey, I am always continuing to work on the handle path portion of it, but I'm going to give it my best try here. See if I can hit a nice long straight one. All right, so I hope this gave you a little more insight into how to release the head of the club, get yourself more distance and more accuracy, just be more all around a better, more consistent driver of the golf ball. Thanks again to Golf Development Complex in Moorpark, California for hosting us today. And you know what I say, if I don't see you in the next video, I sure hope I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take care.